up there. Probably. The way that your rounds are impacting the target can tell you a story. Okay? Vertical. All right. So, anybody ever shot this drill before? No? All right, cool. No big deal. So let's just kind of talk about some of the things that we see here, some things that we could do to possibly make these look a little bit better in the future. Okay? No big deal. This is going to give you a representation of what you can expect your ability in the real world to be like. So if you see any kind of like vertical pattern, so typically speaking, what that we would have called that in the past would have been breathing, right? If you saw vertical patterns on a paper target, inherently somebody would have been like, that's your breathing, all right? Well, that's not necessarily true, although it could be breathing. What we will say that typically is a sight alignment issue. All right, it's a sight alignment issue. So vertical stringing is you are not looking through the sights at the same point every time you fire. Now, that can be caused by breathing. It can also be caused by pressure in your buttstock. So now that you're shooting off the ground and you're trying to minimize the amount of input you have in your buttstock, you're putting less pressure on that buttstock. So maybe you're pressing on your buttstock less with your face. And so you may be finding yourself hunting for proper sight alignment, okay? That can cause some stringing both vertically or even horizontally potentially. If you saw a horizontal stringing, typically speaking, what we see with horizontal stringing is going to be your trigger manipulation or your trigger control. We don't want to have bad trigger control, so we would work to isolate our trigger control out of the system, especially if we're shooting off a tripod or something like that, something that's really going to be susceptible to our trigger manipulation. But also, you can just work to build a more stable position. So that way, if you have a bad trigger press, it's going to affect your grouping less. Okay? So, there's some things to think about. Adaptive approach. What can I do to better my situation if I can't be perfect in the other parts of my fundamentals, all right, or my shot process? Anyways, you guys go ahead, grab your targets. We're done here. We're going to go back, finish out the day. Thanks, guys.